Welcome everybody to Gary and Louise's place, Brookvale. Although Moon is my second book of poetry, it includes some of my earliest Australian poems. I'd stopped writing when I first came to Perth from London, but started again when in 1979, Carol Bolton invited me to her cottage above the Bailing Up Brook. The first poem in this book was engendered there by my experience of Bailing Up as a wonderful transition place between England, whence I had just returned, and Australia. Woman in a Landscape is also a poem of pause and new mindfulness in midlife. The second poem arrived when the Boltons had gone overseas and rented out Carol's cottage. It was unavailable to me and my family, so we decided to find a place of our own in Bailing Up where I was beginning to feel at home. Driving down to this new home one evening in the early 80s, I met the full moon. Before I say this poem, I want to point out the origins of a couple of its allusions, in case you're not acquainted with them. The first is Walter de la Mare's poem about moonlight. I'll recite the beginning and the end. Slowly, silently now the moon walks the night in her silver shoon. This way and that she peers and sees silver fruit upon silver trees. And then a harvest mouse goes scampering by with silver claws and a silver eye, and moveless fish in the water gleam by silver reeds in a silver stream. And you can guess that that poem is not called Moonlight, but Silver. The second allusion is to D.H. Lawrence's visit to Australia when he spent some time in Perth and witnessed the full moon rising over the Darling Scarp. And he put this into his novel Kangaroo, making the protagonist be quite freaked out by this huge electric moon rising over the hills. So, Moon over Malalia. I had driven without stopping from Perth to the apple country and on beyond Donnybrook. The quick dusk had come, almost gone, when hills and moon rose together on the southeast horizon into a sky growing mauve. The moon was not silver, not a disk, not even electric, but a strange, numinous gas balloon of pale yellow, which clumps of trees tossed to and fro across the sinuous road until a straight stretch caught it and held it in my path, and I was driving straight towards it, faster and faster. And that was the poem that engendered the beautiful painting by Juliet Stone, which she has allowed me to have delightfully on the front cover of the book. It also led into a sequence of poems, the excitement of it led into a sequence of poems which I wrote in response to moonrises over our hill at Bailing Up, which we then acquired because we needed a place to be ourselves. So this sequence I actually split and put throughout the book, but Louise has retrieved it from its various places because it was making a sort of rhythm through the book. But now it's making its own rhythm with some gorgeous music that Louise has composed for the piano and the violin. miles of grass and marry trees, twilight dreaming stars, sharpness of dark. This could be the night of the moon child's coming, rocked in the lady's arms. She has come out stripling from the dark stretch, the month's bud, its stars cold fires. The hill was stilled in thicknesses of mist, islanded in an uncertain circle. Then her clear curve came. Moon is a clone. She is separate and autochthonous. Earth is her sister and mother. spring. Now split, now full, you are not what you seem. Easter ripeness, is tadpole, is fish, swimming in mist milk, diminishing towards the primitive yolk, the frog belly dark. Moon is a wound in our earth. If there were no moon, the night earth would never be acquainted with the sun. healing balm. Moonlight is a healing balm. Half moon, lifting in a curl of cloud, tipped to diagonal, could be a Celtic coracle tossed in its crossing, or the boat caught by Hokusai in the curve of his wave. Its moon anchor early, releasing the sky ship. Dark streams in the ship's wake, a glitter of stars. Between me and infinity, white foam of a blossoming tree. Thank you both. That was beautiful. These lines, with the music that we've just heard with the music, were amongst the earliest of my moon poems. and some of them were quite quickly published, making me think that I could put them in a small chapbook. This never happened. Recently, I was given reason to get on with it, and was encouraged by my good writing friend Richenda Goldfinch of Joda Cutup down south, who offered to design the pages as she had done for my first book, Dance of Light, several years ago. Juliet and her novelist sister, Caroline Bear, offered further positive encouragement, and thus a fuller book developed as I began to sequence more of the moon poems, and I was discovering amongst my collection quite a few. So thank you, Richenda, Juliet and Caroline. And here are two more of the earlier Bailing Up poems I would like to read. Planting trees. Fitting that the moon should hide tonight behind a seeming mountain range of cloud. For I've been planting trees until the light grew dim against the coming rain, and thinking how the fruit of these may be picked by hands I shall not hold, feed mouths I shall not kiss. The orchardist who grew the trees from seed promised our children the first crop of nuts. Our children's children should have spreading shade. In this fast-shifting world, what stays? Our forests die, our children leave. I plant trees then, to link me to this place, and stay, to feel the raindrops on my face. And a more whimsical one. Tonight, when the rain stopped. Tonight, when the rain stopped and the cloud began to clear, I walked around Bailing Up and tried out where to hang the Japanese lantern moon. It seemed quite decorative among the yellow-berried branches of the Cape lilac, swung jauntily from the overhead wires in Delisle Street, perched like an English weathercock on the roof of the little church. But looked best, suspended from a high branch of one of the old giant pines along the Nannup Road. I left it there and came on home along the dark, wet shine. So I'll go to, the book is in fact divided into 3 sections. The first one is named after that initial excited poem, Moon over Malalyap, and the next one is In the Moon's White Hush. And this visits places outside Australia, including Reunion Island's active volcano, La Fournaise, the furnace. If you buy my book, you might like to have seen these amazing photos that will expand my poem about Brian's and my experience of the volcano in action. I'm not reading it now, but yeah. But this is the book and has some very amazing photographs in it. Can I give that to you? Thanks. It's quite a heavy book too. Very realistic close-up photos of the eruption that we witnessed. You might also like to Google the titles of paintings quoted in the poem Turner Comes to the Australian National Gallery. I would love to have the images that inspire my poems alongside the verbal text, as writing creatively is my way of exploring a painting or sculpture and finding what it means to me. So I've come to think of what I'm doing as a kind of translation, of making a sort of parallel text in literary language to the visual or tactile language of the artist, and then the two together become a new interactive happening. I actually forgot this one. There's also here that you might like to look at if you don't know it. Most of you probably do know this amazing piece of work by Hokusai, which was referred to in the Half Moon poem with the music. And I don't think I'd really noticed until I went back to it when the image came to me quite how much that boat is kind of inside the wave, that you don't see this tiny boat, but this massive curl of wave, the power of that, like the power of the moon. So I'm talking about this now because there are 2 or 3 art poems in here. But because Louise's beautiful music and her and Bronia's playing of it is being a breakthrough, a quite revelatory experience for me. I'm not well educated in music, and nor have I been as deeply responsive to it as I now find I am capable of being. This collaborative experience, something I guess musicians quite often have, I've never had before. And now I'm realising how the creative richness of what the 3 of us have just made together in sound is similar. It goes a step beyond what happens when I juxtapose words and visual images. So thank you, Louise, and thank you, Bronia. I've always wished I could sing and hoped my poetry might do so instead, but today your music has sung around my words in a very moving way for me. So to return to section 2 of Moon, most of these poems are from England, in fact, the country of my birth and youth, and I'll read just the short one that I know that at least 3 people here have as a favourite. It's called Moon of My Northern Winter. Druid moon, washed by the wheeled sea, bruised by the wind howl, held fast by fingers of oak in the frozen clutch of the chalk. Your fitful torch lit the people of the forest dark, pilgrims and invasions, sawhawks and wolves. Still slip your gleaming images in the frosted twist of yews. Those yews being not the Australian version, but the very ancient trees, which are actually planted now and been planted for some thousands of years in English churchyards. The last section is called Whistle the Moon. It moves about various places, ranging from Yalgarup National Park via Dryandra Woodlands, Rottnest, the Stirling Ranges, and then back to the valleys carved out over millennia by our Balingup Brook and the Blackwood River. 2 of the first one I will read, there are 2 of these that I will read. The first one is Moon Over Fire. And those of you who live here will recognise it as very recent and understand that, as all writers know, you don't publish a piece that you've only just written. It's like taking a cake out of the oven too soon, perhaps. So I'm particularly grateful to writing friends who provided revision suggestions for this near-deadline poem. In particular, Faye Brooks, Tanya Smith, Susan Ecker, and I want to thank all of my writing friends and our lovely Balingup writing group for their ongoing encouragement with writing. So Moon Over Fire, 20th of February this year. Soon as the sun dips in the sea, the moon lifts, bright, clear, round. Framed in our Bunbury cottage door, it's magic-making light. Hard to imagine, it's also rising over fire. Fire is charted on the net. Beamed back to earth by satellite, it glows a growing sprawl of red that rasps the mind. Much as the flare it represents tears through the pines. Anxiety burns in me, although I know there's nothing I can do to turn fire back. I wonder how the moon looks south, lifting over flame and veiled by smoke. A smoke that drops the living stuff that it lifts as ash and blackened burning leaves, to fall like snow against the light of moon, blanketing the Blackwood Valley and its hills. But I am here, where fire smoke does not fill my lungs. I breathe instead the ozone from the sea and grieve for home. We can't be there. The road is closed, so no one's home to fill the baths for birds in flight from fire, nor welcome fleeing emus to our dam. there's no one to let out our sheep. It feels as if the fire burns on in me beneath the moon. In me, tormented branches dance, while root-informing fungi scorch to dust. The garden I have planted shrivels on its stems. Ants exchange their panic messages. Possums hunch in smoking hollows. I banish thoughts of cornered kangaroos. In our house, there's much I can't retrieve. My little silver cross from Coventry, a cross of nails designed from one of wood, charred in the chapel blitzed by German bombs. A cross of reconciliation, of peace restored between the towns of mutual devastation. Anxiety burns in me, although I know there's nothing I can do to turn fire back. Our home is in its path. The photos of our daughters from infancy to recently. Fiona rowing down Deep River on an early birthday, cooking on her campfire. In Queensland, little Kathy on her first long walk stands awed inside a glistening cave. The album that I put together of my mother's life the week she died in England. A tiny black and white of me pulling my first sled in that so different world. Books and paintings that we treasure from family and friends. All these I'll miss if wind throws fire at Gullyfoot. My hope is in the moon, for this I know. When it is full, the winds don't blow. The last one is called Gift, and this was written 9 years ago while we were waiting for rain in April. This year, we're still waiting, although it's rained on and off. There's not enough, there's been no run, been no significant runoff into our dam at all. Though by the time we're doing this again, there might be. For weeks, the trees whisper rain, echo my rainstick. Seeds inside a dry cactus, calling against intransigent sky. Leaves dry as the seeds are twisted by drought on their twigs, right-angled to sun. Ground the brown river hollowed, scrunches under our feet, breathes clouds of warm dust. The river has slugged along low in its bed, stupefied in depression's remembering flood. 7 moons have arced over our valley since one last jeet in the falls, beaming white on bleached grasses, stiff brackens spiking their light. We have listened to the silence of frogs, watched our dam water dwindle and thicken, gone fishing under the shower, herding skerricks of liquid from basins to buckets, taking our catch to the garden, witch plants to save from the scorch. Beaks agape, rosellas have sagged, the bird bar so near yet so far. The finches have wallowed, reluctant to leave. We knew how they felt, tearing ourselves from the sea that still has its feet in ice. Then, just before Easter, something the summer distilled, yellow of sun, mauve glow of the moon, powers out of baked earth in buds of cool crocus petals. At last, there are mare's tails at sunset, over the gully like comets, tails fiery with water. This night, the white bedroom curtain is lifted like a great wing quivered in lightning. The stars are dimming, have vanished, and the tin roof clamours with molecules tumbled and drumming. We run out and hold up our arms to feel the cool bounce on our skin, to follow the chant of the gathering flow from the gutters, singing in downpipes, the happy splash of its hitting low in our tank. It was never like this in the city, where the rains are swallowed by drains, where just mention in cloud forecasters look sour, and the dams are unseen in the hills. So, driving the road that twists with the river, let's not curse in the wet the hopping of frogs to be dodged. Summer nights, the need to go slow for the roos on their way for a drink. It's a gift living here, learning earth contrasts by heart. You going to say something?
Okay. Usually at one of Louise's concerts, it's at this point that Louise comes forward and congratulates the artists on their performance, which she probably could do tonight, but it might be more appropriate if somebody else does it. And I would, on behalf of Jenny and myself, like to really thank Gary and Louise for their hospitality in opening their home to us this evening, and congratulate Louise on her wonderful composition, and Louise and Bronia on their wonderful performance. It really has been outstanding. I'm sure you all enjoyed it as much as I have. And I imagine you have also enjoyed Jenny's poetry. And if so, you'll have the opportunity to buy a copy of her book. I'll be setting up in one of the corners when we clear the room a bit more. And the book will be available for $16 each, which is the cost of printing. We're not making any profit out of it. And Jenny would be very happy to sign books for anybody who would like a signed copy. And following that, we'll be having refreshments as soon as we've got the room clear enough. There's wine and champagne available, there's some nibbles, and please do stay on and talk to each other and talk about the performance and generally enjoy yourself for the rest of the evening. Thank you. About 40 minutes, I think.
Lovely. Yes. Thank you.